Hey everybody, Roger here. Hope you guys are all having a great day. As most of you know, or some of you know, I just recently returned from my trip, vacation to Washington State. I was up there visiting family, and I had to cut my trip short by about a week. So, when I got there, it was all the pandemic for coronavirus. The Chinese virus started, as soon as I got there. The shutdowns, the limited hours, the grab and go food things, and now as of what I'm seeing today on the Seattle Times, Jay Inslee is enforcing a stay-at-home policy. So while I left early to avoid the potential of having closed borders around Washington, that was a rumor going around, and I didn't want to risk being stuck in Washington for an indefinite period of time, even though I was with family. I just didn't want to risk it at all, so I decided to leave early. As I was visiting with my dad, my sister sent me a text message saying, hey, this is the rumor. You might want to think about leaving now in case the borders close, because at that point in time, it was 2 or 3 days ago, the National Guard, or I believe it was probably the National Guard, was in downtown Spokane, like setting up something, I guess. I'm not too sure. I didn't even look at the specifics of that, but that was the rumor. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to try. I was going to visit my other two brothers, one in Tacoma and one in Seattle, before I left, and I had no chance. And I had to cut the trip to visit my dad and my younger brother and my younger sister short, because that's when I received the news that potentially the borders were going to be closing. So never happened, at least not that I'm aware of. But things did escalate from there, and as you can see, Jay Inslee is enforcing a stay-at-home policy. So far, from what I've read, there's not going to be any sort of a law enforcement involved with enforcing it, but I think it's only a matter of time before it possibly would be. So I wanted to give, before I begin with my little my afterthoughts on my trip to Washington and all the things that I've witnessed and I was in the middle of as I was there. I believe it's the third or fourth highest state as far as like the numbers are concerned for both transmissions. People who actually have been known to carry the virus, and also deaths. I believe is like in the fourth or third place position in the United States as far as that's concerned. Again, numbers change periodically here, just like the rules did in Seattle, in Washington when I was there for what was what Jay Inslee was requiring of the state and its citizens. But anyways, I want to give a huge shout out. I never thought anything in my life with my channel would happen like this, but I'm not a big channel. I'm a small channel, and I don't have many subscribers. But I was very close to meeting someone up there who knew of me, and I didn't know this in advance either. I just started talking to this person, and he's like, hey, by any chance your name wouldn't happen to be Roger, would it? Because if that's so, you look exactly like this guy that I subscribe to on YouTube. And I'm like, oh boy, you found me out. That's actually me. So yeah, I just want to give a huge shout out to Dewey. Next time when this coronavirus thing is not an issue, we'll go out and have a coffee. Until then, stay closed off in your home if you can. I guess stay away 6 feet away from other people. But yeah, it was very, very interesting that somebody knew of me, and I was never thought that would happen. It's a huge, we live in the United States, 340 plus million or 340 million people here, and I got into contact with somebody without my knowing that they knew me, so it's pretty interesting. Anyways, my video here today is about my experience going to Washington and all the things that how I feel about everything at this point. When I left for Washington probably around, I believe it was the 12th or 13th of March, and I don't remember the specific day off the top of my head, but I decided to go slow. I drove up there, and I decided to drive very slow. So I took my time. Normally I'm able to rush in one day. I'd take 2 5-hour energies with me. Again, not healthy at all, but I took, I didn't take any on this trip. I'm getting a little too old for this, but I used to be able to when I was younger, and I didn't anymore. So I split this trip into 3 partitions on the way there. So I stopped in Salt Lake City because I like Salt Lake, or I like Utah in general. I'm getting intrigued by it, and I wanted to just kind of stay there. I usually just pass through the state and fly by it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that this time. So I stayed there, and little little did I know, I should have known this. I mean, it's a Mormon town, Mormon city, and all the stories I heard from people there were about Mormons. Yeah, it was interesting. And then on the way back, I stopped by Costco in Provo or Ogden or Orem or something like that, a couple miles south of Provo. And I went to a Costco there, and I was intending, along with other items that I bought, I was intending to get some alcohol. And I'm looking around. This is a weird setup. And I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, where's the alcohol? And he's like, it's Utah. I didn't know what that meant, but I got it afterwards. But anyways, okay, so I stopped in Salt Lake City on my first day. That was about an 8-hour or 10-hour drive. And then from Salt Lake, I made a stop in Boise. And the gay scene up there is dead. I went to a gay bar. It was a second floor of downtown Boise, I guess. And it was me, the bartender, and 2 other people, a guy and a girl. And then they left, and it was just me and the bartender for about an hour. And I'm like, I'm just here having a beer. I stopped by there because, I stopped by there because it's a bar, it's a gay bar. So, I mean, I'm going to go to a gay bar. But I initially stopped because I did not hear back from this person that I got an Airbnb from, and I was getting nervous. I'm like, I'm not going to drive from here to Spokane. It would just be way too taxing for me. So I had to find I booked another room after that really quick online on the phone when I was at the bar. But it was a cool bar. Boise, I think, is up and coming. I don't know. I would go back there again. Where I was at kind of reminded me of New Orleans for some reason. The bar area, just that whole like 4-block area totally reminded me of New Orleans. I don't know why, but it just did. And anyway, so the next morning I woke up and I drove to Spokane, and then that's when everything started going crazy. Well, I guess it was going a little bit nuts before that, but I get there and I'm staying with my sister and my brother-in-law and my nephew. And I was supposed to see my other nephew, but he was in Idaho. We had missed each other in the same day, so there was conflict there. But my younger nephew, or my nephew, is doing great. He's working a good job. He just graduated high school. They're going to pay for his college there. He's going to take that the options that they have to pay for his college. So kudos to him. And he's saving money, living with his parents, paying rent with them, and just putting it all away and not even looking at it. So I give big kudos to him because I took a more harsher path when I was his age. So I'm very proud of him. My brother-in-law, he actually, a couple years back, he was a recipient of a kidney, and he had been in dialysis for probably the last 12, 15 years, maybe 12, 10, I don't know, somewhere around there. And a couple of years back, maybe 3 or 4, he finally got a kidney. So his immune system is compromised. Now, my sister, nothing wrong with her at all, as far as like immune deficiencies or anything, but they were telling me, hey, if you are sick, you might want to stay at a hotel. And I'm like, I'm not sick, and I've been taking all my oils, and I have thieves oil that I was spraying myself with. I take colloidal silver. I'm very religious with stuff like that. I don't touch gas handles. I use paper, and even my phone, wipe it off every hour or so with some sanitary wipes, etc. And again, you got to be careful. I mean, if you are using any sort of sanitation wipes or antibacterial hand sanitizers and stuff, those are hormone disruptors. So eventually they will cause more harm than good to you. So again, try to find some alternative methods. I'm not trying to preach that to you. I mean, everybody has their own way and their own reasoning. Ooh. I'm just giving that as a suggestion. This is what works for me. I have not taken immunization shots since I was a teenager. I am 43 now, and I, knock on wood, I have not gotten sick. I've never gotten the flu in my adulthood, in my adult life, and so that's just the way that I do things. But anyways, my biggest issue was with making sure that I kept myself in tip-top shape so that I would not in any way compromise my brother-in-law's condition, being immunocompromised. But we all hung out. We had a great time. But during this time, I was with her for about 5 or 6 days. Stayed with them, and I just started seeing it go downhill. I needed to start working, and my nephew, their internet is a little slow because he's on the game. He's playing online MMORPGs all day and all night when he's not working. Good kid, and he deserves every ounce of pleasure that he gets from playing those video games. But I was needing a good internet connection, and my my hotspot wasn't working as good in the room that I was in. The roof or the ceiling above me had a metal vent system, so I mean there was like literally no connection. I would have to get out of the bedroom that I was staying in to get a connection. Anyways, long story short, I went to Starbucks that day, and I posted it on Twitter because when I got there, I'm like, oh look, I get Doris Day parking. I get to park right in the front. This is awesome. There weren't that many cars around, and so I put 2 hours worth of quarters in the meter, which is probably equal to about $2.50, $3 or something. I don't know. So I went into, after I did that, I got my backpack, my laptop, went to Starbucks. They removed all the tables and all the chairs, and there were 2 baristas in the back. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And they were both like, oh, we're implementing a grab and go policy company-wide, and you're able to order, but you have to leave as soon as you're done ordering. I'm like, okay. And so I ordered my food. I was hungry. I was gonna go search for another one, but they said it was all Starbucks that were like that, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I ordered my food there, and I took a picture, and they're all posing in the camera. It's kind of funny, and so anyways, that was a pretty big shocker for me that was closed. And then I walked around downtown. There weren't that many people. There were some people wearing their masks. So I started noticing that there was something going on. I mean, I knew because I've been keeping up with the news, but I mean, I didn't know people were going to be reacting this way in Spokane. So I walked around, and yeah, downtown was dead. Businesses were closed, signs all over the doors. And I believe it was a couple days later that movie theaters, all AMC and Harkins and stuff, decided to close the majority of their theaters, if not all of them. You go to boxofficemojo.com. I believe the daily tallies for the #1 movie in the nation was like $30,000 total. I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, you never ever have seen that. The drops were like 98% from the previous day, or it was just insane. The movie industry is taking a hit, and that's probably why they're all doing that stupid "Imagine All the People" commercial, where they're all singing. These are all the celebrities that got diagnosed with COVID, with the coronavirus, the Chinese virus, Wuhan virus. I will call it all those things. I have no shame in that, and it's where it came from. It's not racist or anything. It's just whatever. Let's all just enjoy making fun of each other. There's nothing wrong with it. Make fun of me. Make fun of how red my skin looks in this video. Anyways, I decided to sit in the car in Starbucks, and I made a video, and I think it was one of the last videos I posted, and just talked about the experience, and it was just weird. And then the following day, I mean, I got some work done, but then the following day, it started getting more worse. It seemed like every hour there was something new that was happening. And then I ended up telling my sister after day 5 or 6, I'm like, hey, I'm going to have to go visit Dad because it seems like everything is just getting worse. And so she's like, no, I understand. I was actually supposed to stay with my sister for a little bit longer, and I had to cut it short. We went out every night to restaurants, but the restaurants were closed. I mean, not closed, but we went to just one place. I can't remember. It was like an Irish place, I believe, an Irish restaurant bar or whatever. And it's where she used to always go with all of her friends and coworkers. And we went there twice, once alone, my sister and I, and talked about a lot of things. And then the next day with my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew, and me, and we sat at the same table, and it was just cool. But it was just us. I mean, the whole restaurant was empty, and it was weird because the waiter was taking forever to serve us, which I thought was weird because we were like the only ones there. So anyways, after that, it was only like grab and go in almost all restaurants. And then they implemented 8 p.m. cutoff, I believe is what it was. 8 p.m. cutoff where restaurants had to close, and some of them like voluntarily closed. And then you go into the stores, the grocery stores, and some of them had to close early. Everything was like out of stock. It was like papers, water, a lot of canned foods were gone. I mean, it's like everybody was stocking up. So it's the selfishness and the unpreparedness of a lot of people was definitely evident. Anyways, I go to Sunnyside, and that's where my dad lives, and I'm there, and then I get that message from my sister saying, hey, you might want to leave early now because this is where they might close the border. So I raced out. I raced to Twin Falls. I got a hotel booking on Choice Hotels, and ended up going to a Red Lion. And the Red Lion, it was an okay hotel. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great by any means, but it was what I got at the last minute while I was driving, on the way racing out of the state. And I got an executive suite apparently, and I'm not sure if a lot of people know what this is. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do, but for those who don't, it's basically a suite, to my understanding, where you have a door in between rooms, and you're able to go between the rooms, so there was a door, a door in between in my room leading to the room next door. And I kept hearing this guy hacking and coughing, and I'm just like, oh my God, this guy might have the coronavirus. And the door on the bottom had at least a, I'll say 3/4 inch, opening. You know how like a door is, obviously you have like a little opening and airflow. I was worried airflow going in and out of both rooms. I'm like, screw this. I didn't use in any of the hotels I stayed at, I didn't use any of the towels. So I took a couple of the towels that were in the bathroom and I put them under there so there would be no airflow coming through. So yeah, I was taking a lot of my precautions. I also took with me and used this in every hotel I stayed at and every place I stayed at. I used my ozonator. I have an ozonator that I carry with me, and I ozonate every corner of the bed, in the middle of the bed, the pillows, and then I would bring my own blankets and put them on top of it. And then when I came home, I put those immediately separate from everything and just put them in the wash. So I didn't want to risk anything. From what I understand, this virus could probably be on surfaces for days or weeks at a time or something. I don't know. Again, everybody's still learning things about this virus. So anyways, I'm at that hotel and the guy's hacking up like crazy, and I'm just like, oh God, if I wake up and I start coughing, this is gonna be insane. So I just doused myself with, my thieves oil, and took my colloidal silver, took all of my supplements, my vitamins and my B's and everything, and everything is good. I'm not feeling any symptoms. And again, I know there could be some asymptomatic people out there who could probably have the virus and not know it, kind of like Rand Paul, but everything so far is good. This is day 3 or 2 that I'm home now, so time will tell. I haven't really been around anybody except my partner and some people at the store the other day, but we'll see in 2 weeks. They say, I think it's about 2 weeks when you find out, up to 2 weeks that you find out if you actually have symptoms and whatnot. So we'll see what happens from here. But and I'll be making videos and I'll cover. If I do get it, I'll let you know. But then you'll also know that if I don't get it, I'm doing everything homeopathically, naturally, and hopefully, that helps anybody else out there who don't want to resort to other mainstream methods. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to force anybody into thinking that my way or the highway. I'm just letting you know what works for me, and I will definitely let you know if I contract the virus. There's no reason for me to be dishonest about things. I like learning things. If I find out that my methods don't work and I do end up contracting the virus, I'd rather know about it. I like learning. I'm not the kind of guy who would be like, I'm going to hide anything that I am incorrect on and have this ego about it to try to just hide it from people. Even with my workers, I might be their boss, but I would tell them, hey, just if I do anything wrong, I want you to come up to me and say, Roger, you fucked up on this, and this is what you did wrong. And I'd be like, okay, you're right. Let's go ahead and fix it. Tell me what I need to do. Because again, I don't know everything. I'm a programmer, developer, but I don't know everything. Some of my other staff, they do know other things. But there's a caveat there. If I am right and you made a mistake, then I won't punish you, but I will make you look bad for a little while. So it's fair is fair, and I want them to do the same to me if I do that. So that's how I operate as far as like being a leader, a manager. I'm a team player is what I should say. But anyways, going away from that, my experience overall in Washington, it felt rushed. It was very surreal. It was unlike any trip I ever took in my life, and I'm pretty sure everybody could say that about theirs as well if they are traveling right now. There's a guy I'm following on Twitter, the hairy-chested libertarian. He's in the middle of going to Florida, so he's probably going the same. He went a week after I did. I started my trip when things started escalating. He's taking his trip in the middle of the escalation, probably to get worse, maybe, and he's worried about maybe having some sort of martial law where the borders close, that he might be trapped out there as well. I'm like, hey, just take it easy, be careful, whatever. But yeah, it's insane. There's a lot of, the thing that I think I am upset about the most is, it's not the virus that's going to be killing the majority of people. It's not the virus that's going to be affecting the majority of the people. It's the way people are acting, the animal instinct. I mean, the two things you could take away from this is of what's going on right now is this. Number one, you're going to have people, your fellow man, you're going to have people, obviously your fellow man, who for the most part are showing their true colors of how they would really act in situations of crises like this. Now, you can definitely blame the media for this. The media is hyping this up. They are raking in the coals, especially now when people are forced to stay home. The media is going to keep pushing this and pushing it and pushing the narrative because they're getting seats, they're getting viewers, they are making money, their advertisers are making money. They love this. So they're going to keep hyping up this virus. And I don't even think the virus is that big a deal. Personally, I don't, especially in comparison to a lot of other things that we die, other viruses that we die from in insane numbers. Again, I know that the difference with this virus is that it's potentially possible that it could mutate. I think there's a case in Iran where it probably has, and maybe elsewhere. I'm not too sure. But I also understand that you being in contact with another person, you can spread it to, if that person gets connected to or meets with other people and they're in contact with them, they can spread it to 6 other people, and those 6 can spread to 6 others, and it quadruples, and it keeps exponentially increasing. So that's the danger of this one, obviously. Whereas other ones, they don't affect that many people. But so I understand the quarantine thing. I don't want the forcefulness of it, like what Jay Inslee is proposing here in Washington. I'd rather, through my own sheer will, have the ability to leave, come and go, and do whatever I want to. He's saying only in emergency situations or certain situations. That is subjective to the individual. If I think something is an emergency for me, I will go do it. It's not for somebody, an elected representative, to tell me what is an emergency. Now, if he gets into martial law, that's a different story. Obviously, you get those kind of those powers, and yeah, you can force people to stay home. And in that case, then yeah, I guess I'll rely on the government in that respect. But that's part 2 of this. I mean, that's the second thing here is that I've learned is that people are overreacting to this quite a bit. And I do think it could be used against us potentially later on down the line with politicians saying, hey, this is a good, the economy is going to go, let's say the economy does go good, after this, there's a couple of weeks and then everything starts bouncing back to normal. Politicians, both the left and the right and everybody in between, are probably going to be, unless you're a true libertarian who doesn't believe in big government like me, they're probably going to be saying, hey, this is the way that we reacted with this virus and how we handled everything. We did everything great. Trump would be preaching this. Even Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and everybody else. Once everything starts getting all great, they're going to be twisting everything and saying, hey, this means that government did great. Let us have more powers to look out for you. I mean, they're doing that right now, trying to sign this $2 trillion bill by adding stupid things in it that don't even belong. I mean, they're trying to pass things that are irrelevant to the situation. This is why it's dangerous to have big government. This is why Nancy Pelosi's 1,400-page, which I haven't even read. I've only read the bullet points of it, and I'm relying on other sources because, again, yeah, you might have time because you're sitting at home now. But I mean, 1,400 pages. Yeah, Nancy, that's really responsible of you to actually give that to all of the our elected officials to read and to pass. No, it's insane. Just make a bill, 10 pages long, let them read it, let them look over it, discuss it, have it be only relevant to the situation. Nothing else, nothing more. We don't need all the filler that you put in there. And this is them trying to overstress their powers. Nancy Pelosi, in my opinion, at this point in time, is holding United States citizens for ransom for the things that she wants to do, for the things that she wants to add in there. And I'm looking at some of these items, and I'm like, okay, I can see why you think it kind of relates to the situation, like Planned Parenthood stuff. People are going to get stir crazy and might go and screw with their brother or something. I don't know. Who knows? Things like that could happen. And then, yeah, she wants an assurance that they'll still have this. And again, abortions, the majority of women, and I do know this because I do know what I'm about to say is true because I have family who are in this field and tell me the stories sometimes. But women use abortions as a form of birth control. So you can shove it where the sun don't shine, Nancy. It's abortions aren't a woman's right. They're a woman's option to just if she finds out she's pregnant, she's able to get it aborted and continue on with her sexual escapades. And again, the guy is to blame as well. It's like it is twofold here. But beyond that, it's like they might use the situation, however it's handled in the future, as a way for them to gain more power later on. The average person is not the average U.S. citizen is not consuming themselves with politics. They're consuming themselves with work and their family and family functions and stuff. Politics is very last on their list. They're casual voters and casual armchair. They watch news, like general news on TV. That's the majority of America right now. The minority are people who are watching YouTube, watching certain content creators to try to get an expanded observation of what's going on in the news. They don't want this tailored thing that suits a political narrative. They don't want that. People like us don't want that. But the average person does, and that's the dangerous part. Is that those kind of people are easily influenced to sway an election. And we'll see where it goes from here. We'll see if the majority of people, even Trump supporters, there's a lot of them that don't question anything that he does. They're like, oh yeah, Trump's going to do this and that and this and that, and we love everything that he does. And I'm like, okay, come on, you can't agree with everything he's doing. Like right now, they're trying to push H-1B visa workers. They're trying to expedite them to come to America. I think as of like 2 or 3 days ago, they're trying to expedite this. And Trump is like, yeah, we'll bring them here. And again, these people are stealing like our IT jobs. Again, our IT jobs. How is this America first? But yet, these same people who just support Trump 100%. Now, I'll support Trump on the majority of things, but there's a couple of things that really tick my hide. And this is definitely one of the biggest ones. He's not putting America first, and it's jeopardizing us. It's jeopardizing us as a nation, because now we have a foreign entities that are actually able to have our data, to have our technology, to probably have again our data, the data that we enter into these applications, websites, phone apps, etc. They're able to have access to this, and again, this is detrimental to us in the future. You heard me say it first here, and I think you've heard also like people like Michelle Malkin bring that up as well. I'm not sure if they're more concerned about the data like I am, but that's big. That's big. So, but yeah, Trump is not all encompassing and all great and everything. He's just an everyday guy who happens to be a billionaire, and he's good at what he does. He's good at organizing the United States, and I do like him. I think out of all the candidates that we have, he's probably the best one that we've had in a while. The one that actually keeps his promises, whether you like them or not. So, and then you have all of these advocates still fighting for open borders, and it's insane. Like, what is wrong with you people? And this is why, again, I thought it was plausible that, Washington would be closing off its borders, because it makes sense. It makes sense. You wouldn't want any sort of people coming in, whether they're American citizens from another state or not, infecting other people and causing the chaos to be worse in your state. It's a cost issue, and it's also a humanitarian issue. So yeah, I can understand a lot of the situations coming from, what Jay Inslee is trying to propose, and other states. Again, Trump assigned executive powers for every state to manage their own crisis. And it seems to be working. But again, I think martial law. We are pretty much close, if not already there, with martial law in a lot of states. Anyways, I'm rambling here. Yeah, it's this whole virus thing is just insane. I just take care of yourself. Don't. Again, I am of the belief, I'm not going to tell you what to do, and your government shouldn't tell you what to do. You should be able to go out, go take a walk, go to public places, go shopping. Anything is your own emergency, because you are an American that has every right to feel that your emergencies, whether they're not emergencies to somebody else, are your own emergencies. You have that right. I don't care how trivial or how extreme it is. It's you're an American, and that's I can't sway from that. That's just my logic. But you also would be able to face either the benefits or the repercussions of your actions if you go to a public place during this pandemic and you don't know any better, and you're not prepared and whatnot, and you could probably end up affecting a lot of other people. You'd have to live with those consequences. Now, right now, you have the right to go out there and do whatever you want. I think it's getting a little bit more hammered down. but understand that, if you start spreading it to people and then you start spreading it to your family, and it was you, I mean, that's a consequence. Again, you have every right to make that choice, whether you want to knowingly affect people or knowingly not affect other people based off of your actions. But, I can respect the preventive measures. We're all stocked up here. I don't think I really have any place else to go at this point. But I might be going out every now and again to go get, I have a package need to pick up at the post office anyways, a big package that they didn't leave here. So I'll be going out into town. I have no shame in doing that. I'm protecting myself, and I'm also making sure that I'm as healthy as possible to make sure that other people have limited chance of getting any sort of, if I have COVID or whatever, that they're going to get anything from me. So those are my thoughts. That was an interesting trip. I'm glad to be back home, to be honest. But yeah, how about you guys? How are you guys dealing with this epidemic? I think it's been blown out of proportion. I really don't think the epidemic would be an epidemic. I think it would just be another case of something new. But it is what it is. People's reactions were the things that was surprising me the most, how people have reacted. So you just got to be careful. Look out for your own. Look out for yourself. Be safe. Be smart. You make your own choices, but I mean, that's how it is at this point. Yeah, let me know how you guys are handling it. Like, hate, subscribe, share, don't share. I do love it all. Peace out.